And my other question is, like, I just want to talk about the fashion industry in particular, and about the creatives, like you said, who
Right.
are the future of fashion. You know, you've done a lot of amazing shows like Asian Next Top Model, about Asian Next Top Model, Front
Right.
Row, Digital Fashion Week, which I've watched, and I think you've really vitalized this energy, this creative energy in Singapore, which needs, because I mean, personally, I feel that Singapore is a market that's quite new in fashion.
Right.
And they're progressive. There's a lot of talented people out there, but I
Right.
feel they're very risk averse, and sometimes they're that culture itself inhibits designers from expressing their authentic selves.
Right.
And I know you've done all these amazing shows for models, for designers that have really got out of their box and really just not been afraid to be who themselves. My question is, let's say I'm a designer or a creative right now, and I want to make it, and I'm really passionate, and
Right.
and I have all these costs, like you said, money limitations. I'm not on the social network, which would take
Right.
me to the next level. If I don't have those opportunities of visibility that would enhance my future, what do I need to do? What is your message for those creatives to kind of take their art to the next level and be seen by the community?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think something like social media is such a powerful medium. There's no excuse for a young label to not be able to make their mark. And a lot of the young labels have made their mark through social media. A lot of the young labels I found through the Front Row, I found through social media,
Yeah.
right? And these are labels that don't have a lot of money. They don't have unlimited budgets like the big labels do, but they're smart about using social media to use that as a marketing tool to create hype around themselves.
Right.
Right? And once you create that hype, and social media allows you to tell your story authentically, well, as authentic as you want to portray your label. So with social media, you can tell your story and you can get discovered. So you don't necessarily have to subscribe to the old rules.
Yeah.
Right? And in fact, not just fashion labels. I found a lot of models through social media as well.
Yeah.
Because of the lockdown,
Yeah.
we couldn't do physical castings.
Yeah.
So agencies were sending us casting reels and everything.
Yeah.
And if a model caught my attention, what do? You Google the model. Right? You look at her Instagram account or his Instagram account, you find out all there is about this model. Right? Whatever the model puts on social media may be authentic, may not be, but that model represents the brand that you're going to use him or her for. So if they have that same sensibility, I would book that model.
Yeah. That's
Right.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think social media and the digital realm has completely changed the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for good or for bad, because social media is also very unforgiving,
Yeah.
right? Scandals get blown out of proportion.
Oh yeah.
Big labels are learning and suffering because you can't get away with things like racism, you can't get away with things like ill treatment, because once you get called out, the whole world knows.
Yeah.
So I think social media has been very good for the industry, but we have to be very careful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, linked to what you said about racism, diversity, I also want to bring this to another topic that I'm super passionate about, and I think it's super relevant right now to discuss,
Yeah.
which is diversity. My question to you, Daniel, is what is diversity to you? Like, how do you define it? How significant is it to you as a creative and in the Singapore industry, and what do you want to do, or what are you currently doing to take this to the next level?
Okay, I've always subscribed to the mantra that you hire the best person to represent the label, right? And the best person should be casted through colorblind casting, right? If the best person for this job is an Oriental, is a Black, is a Latino, is a person who's skinny, a person who's curvy, a person who's tall, a person who's short, you cast the right person for the job. But and you look at the diversity that was on the runway during the era of the supermodels, the true supermodels,
Yeah.
right, in the 80s and early 90s. Look at the amount of diversity on the runway. They were all hired because they were fantastic models.
Yeah.
They were hired because they made the clothes look special. there was Naomi, there was Yasmin, there was Linda, there was Christy, there was Helena, all different races.
Yeah.
Tatiana, Marie Helvin, they were all different races, but they were all hired because they were fantastic. And then came the 90s where everybody was just casting white faces, they were casting models who looked the same, clones, right? I call it the Prada syndrome,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And how boring were the shows,
That's true.
right? And black models started being hired because they were up in arms about it.
Yeah.
And then people started to cast the token black model,
Oh my god.
right?
Yes.
And then people started to cast Asian models, Oriental models. Why? Because China was a big
Yes,
force.
yes.
So they started looking towards Korea and China to hire these models. But at the end of the day, you hire the best model who looks the best in your outfit. You know, if you are just hiring, like for example, for the front row, if I hired models of different races just to tick those boxes, then how authentic is my show,
That's true. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I hire models because they look good in the
Good,
clothes, and if that
exactly.
model happens to be Indian, Chinese,
Yes.
Malay, so be it.
Yeah.
Race is not important.
Yeah, I agree
Right.
with you, and I think
Yeah.
I have the exact same sentiments. But now let's talk about like the Singapore market
Okay.
and honest, and that's why
Okay.
because
Let me
wine
let
is
me
for-
take a bit of wine.
because
Sip of wine first.
This is I mean I've worked here and I have my positives and negatives,
Right.
and the reason of this show is to since we're being authentic, it's important to be extremely transparent because
Yep.
I want to give everyone out there a voice to really know that if there's an issue, that it's an issue
Yep.
if it does exist, and the other people out there who from the industry like yourself and
Yeah.
who believe in that, and that will give them that sort of energy and voice to kind of stand up for themselves, because I feel like as a creative, as a model, I have always tried to justify myself because of my Indian background or whatever, because even though like a look is a good look, not many people think like that,
Okay.
not everyone thinks like that.
Alright.
Always. So Singapore, what is diversity here, and what do you feel about the Singaporean diversity?
I think a lot of clients in Singapore, and when I say clients, I mean agencies, clients, they are stuck in an era.
Yes.
And I ask you, with the agencies that you've been with,
Yeah.
how many models that looked like you were represented by the same agency? Hardly, right?
Hardly.
Yep. But does that mean that there are no models that look like you walking around?
Yeah.
There are so many models out there, so many Indian models, Malay models, people out there that can be models, but they don't get signed up. Just like in the West, when you would be the token Oriental model,
Yeah.
you'd be the
exactly.
token black model, right?
Yeah.
But why does that happen? I think it goes back to demand. If the magazines and the advertisers are not demanding to see your type of models, right, then the agencies are not going to sign you up because they can't make money,
That's true.
right? So it starts from the clients. If the clients start asking for models of different races because they think that these models can sell the product best, and not just the Pan-Asian face or the Caucasian face, then the agencies are going to start actively looking out. But at the same time, agencies can also rewrite the rules. That's
Right.
why I really respect. There's an agency in Singapore called Now, Eddie. I really respect what he's doing, because at a time when everyone was hiring the Russian faces and the Americans and the Eastern Europeans, the skinny white models and all that, because they felt that was it. He started an agency to represent Singapore models.
Right.
It was a struggle, right? And his agency is doing really, really well now. His agency represents not just Chinese faces, but Indian faces, Malay faces. This is the go-to agency when I want diverse models,
Yeah, I agree.
right? And why is that so? Because he believed in it, and he actively went out and pushed his models to the important stylists, the important clients, and tried to get them booked.
Yeah.
So you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
It's like the front row.
Yeah.
If I just sat down and wallowed in self-pity and say that we can't do events anymore, today we still can't do events.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be stuck in the same rut.
Yeah, it's true.
But you've got to go out and convince people that this is the way to go. I've got a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Right? And look at his models now. He's got a fantastic Indian guy called Sri who's working,
Yeah.
who's shooting editorials after editorials, doing commercials.
Yeah.
He's got a Malay girl, Mahdi, that was discovered online, who walked in 5 or 6 shows.
Yeah.
He's got a girl, Simone, who is a second generation model. Her mom was a big model with Carrie Models,
Yeah.
whose first job was Hugo Boss. So you can make a difference.
Yeah.
And you know that you're being successful and your models are making a change when other agencies try to poach your models.
It's important, yeah.
Right?
To do that,
Yeah. Don't poach models. I have a lot more respect for agencies that go out and discover and nurture and train models.
That's so important. I really
Right?
like that. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, again, being super honest now, lol, because this is how I have to be. Yeah, now since, now is great, and now, now, like, so I'm with Avenue,
Right.
and
Which
now,
is a great agency.
It's a good agency.
Yeah.
Now they suddenly have an open casting,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be super honest about it. Now they're looking for diverse faces finally,
Right, right.
which is really good to know that
Yeah.
finally there's this awareness that's been pushed out there.
Right.
What do you think about the future of Singapore? Do you think we'll actually be diverse? And even in diversity, like diversity has so many dimensions. There's color, there's height, there's weight.
Yeah.
What do you think diversity will look like in the next few years? Yeah, in Singapore.
Okay. I think it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for people to change their mindsets.
Right.
Because people are so set in their ways. But at the same time, there are also a lot of clients that take the direction from the West. Oh,
Yeah.
the West has started using black models. Black Lives Matter. So we need to look
my
for a
God,
black
yes,
model.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But if that's what it takes to push diversity in Singapore, if people are followers and not leaders, and if that's what it takes, then maybe we should take advantage of the changes in the world to push for this diversity.
Agreed.
And I do agree with you that diversity moves beyond skin color.
Yeah.
Diversity is all about different types of models, height, weight, body shapes, and then again, you cast the right model for the right job.
Right.
Right? Otherwise, if I were to just cast a black model or an Indian model or a Malay model for the sake of ticking boxes, then how authentic is that?
Yeah. It's
And
it's
if
purpose.
the worst thing is if I shove the model in the show and the model just doesn't look right for the show, it's gonna do it more harm than good, because people are gonna look at the show and go, oh, you know what? Diversity doesn't work because the model looks shit in this show.
That's true.
Right? And it would have backfired. It's just like Singapore models. You want to use Singapore models because they look fantastic in the show, not because I need to put a token Singapore model in the show.
Right.
Because if the token Singapore model is not the ideal model, then people are going to go, oh, Singapore models are really quite shit.
Yeah.
Right? You want them to go, oh my god, that girl's fantastic. She's Singaporean. Wow. That's the reaction you want to get.
Yeah.
And that's going to get people talking,
Yeah.
and that's going to get more Singapore models booked.
Yeah.
So you really have to be top of your game.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? I mean, I book a lot of Singapore models. I also do not book a lot of Singapore models because I make sure that the Singapore models I put in the show are not just right for the show, but they do me proud.
Exactly.
Right? Anyone who watches that show are going to go, wow, I need to cast that model in my show as well. She looks fantastic. He looks great.
That's great. Yeah.
Right? And not, wow, Singapore models are really sad.
Yeah.
That's not the reaction that you want to get.
Yeah. True.
Right? And designers likewise. So you really have to push yourself and be top of the game. So whilst I see this pandemic and social media as being an open door for more opportunities, you really have to be very good now.
Yeah.
Because people can look right through the bullshit.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree. Totally
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.